while Pete and the baby and my grandson were looking out the window at the city view.
Okay.
And she proceeded to put her bathing suit on. Well, about the time she started to put it on, Jonathan comes running up the stairs.
Her dad.
And says, "What are you doing in here while she's changing? You know, what are you doing? You know?" And Pete was like, "Well, I'm sorry. I don't even know if he actually saw anything."
Because he had his back to her.
Because he was holding the baby and the 8-year-old was there, so he said, "I'm so sorry," and left.
Jimmy Evans, a highly regarded pastor and speaker renowned for his expertise in Christian marriage and counseling, has long been intertwined with the Lamb family. His deep connection with Marcus Lamb before his passing and his ongoing friendship with Joni Lamb have cemented his role as a trusted figure within their circle. Over the years, Jimmy has cultivated a sterling reputation for his wisdom and guidance. However, his recent involvement in the controversy surrounding Joni Lamb's remarriage to Doug Weiss has sparked widespread intrigue. The burning question remains: what part has Jimmy Evans played in this unfolding saga, and what decision of his has reportedly left Joni Lamb utterly speechless? Joni Lamb was left astounded by Jimmy Evans's unexpected decision, which sent shockwaves through her relationship with Doug Weiss. From the outset, Joni had turned to Jimmy for guidance, valuing his profound impact on her life and ministry. To her, Jimmy was far more than a mentor. He was a spiritual elder brother, a steadfast friend, and a guiding light in her journey.
So sorry and left, but there had been some very peculiar things that have happened at this particular trip. I remember when we were at the grocery store, all the family was there, because when we always go to the grocery store and get food for breakfast and that kind of thing. And I remember Susie was standing in line and she began to murmur under her breath and start talking about a man that was behind her.
Their bond had deep roots, forged through Marcus, Joni's late husband, who shared a close camaraderie with Jimmy. Over the years, Jimmy became entwined with pivotal moments in Joni's family life, including officiating at her son Jonathan's daughter, Rebecca's wedding. Despite the depth of their shared history, Jimmy's recent decision was both unexpected and deeply impactful, leaving Joni in a state of disbelief. Jimmy harbored significant concerns about Joni's involvement with Doug, and his apprehensions carried weight, given his profound roots in ministry. As a highly respected pastor in Dallas, Jimmy has spent years mentoring countless young men entering the calling of ministry. His wisdom and deep understanding of biblical principles shine through in every conversation. Known for his steadfast character and unshakable integrity, Joni frequently references Jimmy's guest appearances on programs like Table Talk and Ministry Now, where his insights into faith, leadership, and the intricate dynamics of church life have garnered widespread respect. Jimmy's knack for handling difficult situations has solidified his reputation as a trusted mediator, adept at resolving church disputes and guiding pastors and church boards through turbulent seasons. Yet, his impact transcends the confines of the pulpit. His influence echoes through every community he touches, leaving an enduring legacy of guidance, wisdom, and steadfast faith. Since 1982, Jimmy has dedicated over 40 years to helping couples navigate the challenges of marriage. As a seasoned marriage counselor, he has worked tirelessly to heal fractured relationships and nurture enduring, healthy unions, leaving behind a legacy of strengthened marriages. Throughout his journey, Jimmy's unwavering belief in the sanctity of marriage has been the cornerstone of his mission. So, when Joni confided in him about her new relationship with Doug, Jimmy's protective instincts as an older brother in Christ were immediately stirred. With the dual perspective of a pastor and a marriage expert, he expressed his concerns. Jimmy made it clear that he could not endorse a relationship that, in his view, did not align with God's will. His priority was ensuring that no one entered a union that lacked God's blessing. As a leader deeply aware of his responsibility, Jimmy approached the situation with caution and prayer. He understood the weight of his guidance and was committed to offering counsel rooted in biblical principles. While he didn't rush to approve or dismiss Joni's relationship with Doug, he sought clarity, especially given the complexities surrounding Doug's past marriage. Jimmy's ultimate hope was that their relationship, and potentially their future marriage, would be one that God could bless. With this in mind, he prayed earnestly for wisdom, determined to provide advice that honored both his faith and his calling.
So now you're in trouble with her.
Why are you in trouble with her? Yo, make me some bad guys.
I'm not in
That
trouble
you
with her.
can
I'm
be.
just
Speak your mind. I'm
you are
telling.
bad, Susie. You've got him by the balls, and you know it. And
Wow,
that's
babe.
exactly.
Jimmy took an unconventional approach by reaching out to Doug directly. Rather than jumping to conclusions, he chose to have thoughtful, meaningful discussions with Doug about his past, particularly his marriage and subsequent divorce. Jimmy's aim was not to pass judgment or seek approval, but to ensure Doug's divorce aligned with biblical principles, especially as Joni considered a future with him. The conversations were candid, delving into the complexities of Doug's previous relationship. By New Year's Eve, Doug had made up his mind to propose to Joni. He planned a memorable moment at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs, symbolizing the beginning of their journey together. Their wedding, held on June 10, 2023, was officiated by Jimmy Evans. During the ceremony, Jimmy praised the couple, noting he had rarely witnessed such integrity in a relationship throughout his extensive ministry career. However, this chapter also marked a shift in Jimmy's long-held views on marriage and divorce. Known for his steadfast adherence to the teachings of Matthew 19, where divorce and remarriage are permitted only in cases of adultery, Jimmy introduced a new framework, the 4 A's. This broadened his perspective, allowing for divorce and remarriage in instances of attack, addiction, adultery, and abandonment. The change sparked questions about the authenticity of his evolving stance, challenging the principles he had previously championed. While 2 of these reasons found support in the Bible, the other 2 sparked controversy. This new teaching, seemingly aligned with Doug and Joni's relationship, left the public divided. Some confused, others doubtful. Interestingly, it rendered Joni Lamb speechless, a reaction many interpreted as tacit support for Jimmy Evans. Jimmy Evans's shift in perspective on Joni's marriage has raised eyebrows. Could this signify an attempt to introduce his redefined views on marriage more broadly? Stay tuned to discover more. Meanwhile, Jonathan Lamb remains steadfast, resisting family pressures surrounding Joni's marriage to Doug. During their tenure at Daystar, former Vice President Jonathan Lamb and his wife, Susie Lamb, revealed troubling experiences of spiritual mistreatment, allegedly led by Jonathan's mother, Joan Lamb, and her supporters. The couple claims Joni blindsided them by involving Jimmy Evans, renowned Christian leader and founder of XO Marriage, in a contentious meeting held on July 11, 2023. During the meeting, Joni allegedly humiliated Jonathan by claiming that his wife had him under control, while Evans pressured him to yield to his mother, asserting she held godlike authority. According to a recording provided to the Roy's Report, Evans declared to Jonathan and Susie, "Submission means she is the voice of God to you." Jonathan, seeking clarity, asked, "I'm sorry, can you clarify? The voice of God to me?" Evans affirmed, "Yes, the voice of God to you." Jonathan pressed further, "So I can't hear from God directly? I have to hear from her?" Evans replied, "What she says is God, and Daystar is the voice of God." This meeting occurred roughly 2 years after Jonathan accused a family member of mistreating his daughter, which had triggered a major rift within the family. Despite Jonathan's claims, Joni and her late husband, Daystar co-founder Marcus Lamb, sided with the accused family member, publicly declaring them innocent. The incident intensified tensions within the family. However, months later, Marcus informed Jonathan and his brother-in-law that an internal investigation had cleared the family member of any wrongdoing. Jonathan and Susie later uncovered serious flaws in the investigation. Tragically, Marcus passed away on June 10, 2023, due to health complications. Just 2 months after his death, Joni married Doug Weiss, a therapist and frequent guest on Daystar TV. According to Jonathan and Susie, a meeting with Evans in July 2023 appeared to be an attempt to pressure them into publicly endorsing Joni's new marriage. However, neither Jonathan, Susie, nor any of Joni's other children supported the union. They believed Doug Weiss lacked biblical grounds for his divorce and viewed Joni's remarriage as an act of adultery. In the days leading up to the wedding, Denise Boggs, a longtime friend of Daystar, wrote a heartfelt letter urging Joni's family to step in. Boggs, who had previously counseled Doug and his former wife Lisa Weiss before their divorce, had warned Joni about Doug, describing him as a wolf in sheep's clothing. Jonathan attempted to address the letter with Joni 2 days later. However, she reportedly limited each family member to just 60 seconds to voice their concerns, dismissing their emotions as mere fear. Shortly after, she left for New York with Doug following their marriage. Jonathan and Susie remained uneasy about the situation. When asked to publicly praise Joni's marriage, they refused, feeling that doing so would imply their approval. This decision deeply offended Joni and led to a confrontational meeting with Evans. During the discussion, Joni and Evans equated her desires with God's will, accusing Jonathan and Susie of opposing her under the influence of Satan. Ironically, Jonathan and Susie felt that Joni and Evans were the ones acting in this manner. In the meeting, Evans posed a question to Jonathan. If God personally told him he had made a mistake, would he correct it? Jonathan answered affirmatively, emphasizing his willingness to obey without hesitation. Evans, however, insisted that God wasn't speaking to Jonathan directly, but rather through Joni and himself. They argued that their ministry experience granted them authority over Jonathan and Susie. At one point, Jonathan asked who held Joni accountable and under whose authority she operated. Evans responded that Joni had a husband and a board of directors, but Jonathan challenged this, stating that neither provided true accountability. Evans maintained that Joni was the voice of God within Daystar and that no higher authority existed there. Later, Evans cited Romans 13, asserting that all authority is ordained by God. Yet Jonathan continued to question who ensured Joni's actions were held in check. Joni later stepped in, urging Jonathan to reflect on what the Lord had revealed about stubbornness. She cited the Bible's comparison of rebellion to the sin of witchcraft and emphasized that stubbornness is akin to idolatry. Accusing Jonathan and Susie of elevating their own opinions to the level of idols, Joni warned them of the spiritual consequences of their rebellion, suggesting it could invite demonic activity into their family. The conflict escalated further when Joni accused Susie of being overly influenced by her emotions, specifically referencing the 2021 misconduct allegations. Joni implied that Susie's feelings had proven unreliable in the past, fueling the growing tension. Matters came to a head when Joni demanded that Susie read a viewer comment supporting Jonathan's marriage. When Susie refused, Joni declared that Susie would lose her position for defying her, resulting in a complete breakdown of their relationship. Amidst this turmoil, the broader controversy surrounding Joni Lamb and Doug Weiss's marriage deepened. Questions arose. Did Doug marry Joni out of genuine love, or was her wealth the driving factor? Joni Lamb has strongly refuted claims that Daystar funds were used to cover the cost of her $100,000 honeymoon, addressing the rumors in a recent video. In the video, the president of Daystar TV stated, "It's all over the internet that Daystar paid $100,000 for my honeymoon, but absolutely not one penny of Daystar's money was used. We paid for our honeymoon ourselves," calling the allegations a lie. Despite her denial, the Roy report uncovered 2 Daystar expense reports indicating that Lamb charged approximately $100,000 to her Daystar credit card for a stay at a resort in Los Cabos, Mexico, where she and her husband, Doug Weiss, spent their honeymoon. Former Daystar Vice President Jonathan Lamb revealed to TRR that when he raised concerns about the honeymoon expenses at an August 2023 board meeting, board member Tom Callender made the decision to gift the $100,000 to Joni Lamb for the trip. Jonathan suggested that it's likely Joni has already reimbursed the ministry for the honeymoon, especially now that the details are public. He mentioned that the last time he had oversight of Daystar's finances was on November 16, 2023. TRR then contacted Daystar requesting proof of the reimbursement for the honeymoon expenses, including the date of reimbursement. In response, Daystar issued a statement but did not provide any supporting documentation. The statement clarified that all personal expenses charged by Joni Lamb on a corporate credit card had been fully accounted for and reimbursed. Daystar TV responded via email, asserting that their accounting practices are consistent and that all expenses undergo an independent audit by an external accounting firm each year. The email further emphasized that this procedure has always been and will continue to be the standard at Daystar. In response, TR promptly sought clarification, requesting details on when the charges were reimbursed and asking for documentation, proving that Joni Lamb had repaid the expenses. Daystar did not immediately provide a reply. Joni Lamb's October 2022 expense report lists a charge of $36,618.32 for Ventanas al Paraíso, a luxury resort in Los Cabos, Mexico, with a note mentioning Joni Lamb and Doug Weiss, alongside the use of U.S. bank rebate points. Another report from May 2023 reveals a similar charge of $6,718.60 for the same resort, with a comparable note, though the couple's honeymoon took place in July 2023, and Joni paid for it in advance using a company credit card. At the time, Jonathan Lamb, who was managing the expense reports, told TRR that the notes were likely written by his assistant, but Joni would have guided her on what to include. He also explained that the practice of using Daystar's credit card points for personal expenses had been in place since he consulted with Daystar's CFO, Arnold Torres, to determine the available points on the card. Torres informed Jonathan that the card lacked sufficient points to cover the charges, prompting Jonathan to state that Daystar funds would be used to pay the credit card bill. The total charges for the honeymoon, which included food, drinks, and tips, amounted to $3,981, as detailed in an itemized resort bill obtained by TRR. During a board meeting on August 23, 2023, Jonathan expressed his disagreement with Daystar covering the honeymoon expenses. At that time, the board consisted of only 3 members: Jonathan, Joni, and attorney Tom Callender. Jonathan noted that Callender decided a month later, on September 26, 2023, to allocate approximately $100,000 from Daystar to Joni. Later that day, Jonathan met with Callender, Daystar CFO Arnold Torres, and attorney John Lynch to address personal and ministry-related concerns. Jonathan voiced his objections to Daystar financing his mother's honeymoon, explaining that his mother had been accusing him of not submitting. In his response, Jonathan emphasized that he had always submitted, even when he disagreed with decisions. He reiterated his disapproval of Daystar funding the $100,000 honeymoon and hosting the ministry, though he had accepted the latter. Jonathan made it clear, however, that he would never compromise on the Word of God. Jonathan revealed that Joni had frequently traveled aboard Daystar's private jet, with the Trinity Foundation reporting 24 round trips between Fort Worth, Texas, and Colorado Springs, Colorado, from October 2022 to May 2024. During this time, Joni and her partner Doug also took 13 round trips to Destin, Florida. In September 2023, the couple purchased a beach condo in Destin for $2.9 million. The total cost of these flights was estimated at $769,220. These events have fueled speculation that Doug may have married Joni for wealth and luxury. So, what does the public really think about their marriage, aside from the family's objections? Stay tuned to find out. Joni Lamb's decision to marry Doug Weiss sparked a mix of support and criticism. While Doug's qualifications as a marriage counselor were acknowledged, his previous divorce raised questions about his credibility in that role. Some also expressed concern over the timing of their relationship, given that Joni had recently lost her husband, Marcus Lamb. Critics felt that entering a new marriage so soon after Marcus's passing could be seen as disrespectful to his memory. In response, Joni and Doug openly addressed these concerns, emphasizing their shared faith, their commitment to one another, and their dedication to continuing their work in ministry. They reassured the public that their relationship developed naturally, with the encouragement of friends and spiritual advisors. Many, especially those involved with Daystar and Joni's ministry, rejoiced in the couple's union, seeing it as a hopeful and loving step forward after enduring personal challenges. They believed Doug's expertise could bring valuable insights to the network and its mission. However, some critics questioned the timing and appropriateness of the relationship, wondering whether it might impact Joni's ministry and public image. According to Jonathan and Susie, the family member, Pete, followed their daughter into a room at a beach house rented for an organizational retreat in August 2021. They claimed that Pete mistreated her multiple times. Jonathan and Susie now claim that when they reported the misconduct, Joni and other senior Daystar officials dismissed their concerns. They allege that Joni and the organization chose to believe Pete, attempting to shield the perpetrator and failing to report the matter to the authorities. Joni Lamb has strongly denied these accusations, asserting that Jonathan and Susie are confusing two unrelated events and fabricating a false narrative. So, that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section.